I'm going to give you guys some of the most powerful exercises and questions that I had to go through in my rebuild. Some of the stuff that I also do with our one-on-one guys that work with me, because I believe that this is going to transform your life. We're here, and this podcast is a reality to transform a million divorced dads rebuilding their life and legacy, defying the odds of divorce, doing something that they never believed was possible. Uh, The Lord is near to the brokenhearted. We're going to get into that. At the end of this, I'm going to give you the questions that really unpack a lot of this. These are going to be in the show notes. Also, some of the questions for you to dig into personally for yourself about what's going to really make this or break this for you. I'm going to get into my blow up. I'm going to dive in a little bit more about my blow up, like what sucks. It goes like this, it's when your life blows up, it's not the end. It's exposure of what was unstable, unaligned, and unsurrendered. And this episode is going to show you the truth behind breakdowns and why they're usually the doorway to your rebuild. I've got some data and science in here. I just want to take a moment to share with you guys when I was hit with divorce papers. I was working at Turning Point USA at the time. I was in the parking lot. I got the phone call, and the man was gracious enough to, not try and come into my office, and nobody really knew what was going on in the office. I got the job there because I was trying to pay bills. I was trying to keep the house together and the marriage together. And I went and got a job while my coaching business was just not where it needed to be. It was hard. I wasn't making enough money, and I had, the kids and everyone at home. And so one of my mentors said, "Hey, go get a job and till your marriage gets fixed up." Well, the marriage didn't get fixed up. I still had the job. I still got served papers, and I was in a blender. And I wish all of that didn't happen. I didn't plan for it to happen, didn't want it to happen. I know I talk to a lot of dads where they're trying to get back with their spouse, and they go through, counseling and therapy and all these kinds of things. And at that point, usually when the woman is out, and she doesn't want to come back in. She doesn't want to try. And most women would say that they tried for so many years and nothing happened and nothing worked. And so they give up and they close doors and they're done and they're out. And that was essentially my experience. And so here I am walking through the parking lot of Turning Point USA with these documents. And after being told that we were just going to be separated, that it wasn't a divorce. And I said, okay, well, here we go. We're in divorce land. So I'm going to give you some data on what happened next. What happened next for me was shock, failure, frustration. I wanted nothing more than to be the best dad I could be, and no one plans to be the best dad you could be and then get divorced, especially somebody for myself who grew up in church, preacher's kid. Not only preacher's kid, but then I was working in some of the most prolific, impactful ministries on the planet, global, world renowned, stuff in the news, stuff that you've heard and read about it, whether it was Hillsong, whether it was times with, other ministries, everybody, all included. Wasn't supposed to happen to me, right? I should know better. And my partner should have known better. And it happened. And I was in the blender in the middle of it. Where do I go? What do I do? What happens next? And doing everything that I knew how to do. But when you're in it and that's all you know how to do, well, then you're still working off of these tools that are these old systems and old tools. And I needed to rebuild with new systems and new tools. And I needed to rebuild with somebody who could look at my life and say, "Hey, dude, this has to step up. You got to do this. This isn't going to work this way anymore. What got you here is not going to be what gets you there. What you built is not going to be what's going to get you over in this way. It's going to be different. You're going to have to see some things differently." And that was the straight talk, savage truths, honest to God stuff that I had to go through with mentors and coaches and advisors in my life that had to say, "Hey, dude, this is where we're going. This is what's going to happen next. These are the feelings you're going to have, and this is how you get through it. And these are the worksheets you got to do." And that's why those of you in the school group, That's the first step. Get in the school group and do all these stupid worksheets that you think are dumb and they don't matter, because that was the guy that I was. Why would I do all of these? I know better than that. I know how to do this. What's that crap? Journaling? Why do I need to do that? Who's it, blah, blah, blah. The most important thing in your life in growth is coachability and humility. And one of the things I do love about working with divorced dads is that many of them have finally come to that point of being humble and finally asking questions and finally saying, you know what? I blew up my life. I suck. I missed it. I had blind spots. Anthony helped me get to this next point. And when you get to that point, man, it's a rocket ship to where you want to go next, because you're finally listening and open and humble enough to hear and do things that you've never done before. And it's not hard. It's not hard. Let me give you some of the data and science. And before I go on and on in this, I want to just give you a little bit more of my story of how my life blew up and then what I had to start doing different. Different, not the same, in a different way. Absolutely radically different. I just got a nudge now here for somebody. There's addictions that are holding you guys back. You got to drop them. You got to let them go. They're not going to be part of this transformation. And if you do not let them go, this is the moment of clarity for you that you have to get through. The brain interprets loss like physical pain. It both light up the same neural pathways. That's what you got to know. Physical pain, and the brain interprets loss like physical pain. So what you're feeling is literally like a broken leg. Within 90 days of a major disruption, though, the brain begins to rewire toward new stability if you feed it the right inputs. That's why one of the first things I have in the school group, one of the first things I do with all my one-on-one guys is we audit what's coming in your eyes and your ears, what's coming out your mouth, where's your energy at? Because you're in the middle of a major disruption. If you do not rewire towards stability, then you will rewire toward instability. It's literally that. It's one or the other. There's two wolves that are going on inside. One is light and truth. One is darkness and despair. Which one wins? It's the one that you feed. That's the one that wins. And the same thing goes in your brain in this discussion here. Where you're going into the future or where you've been in the past. It's not the event that's troublesome. It's not the event that got me. It's the belief about the event. And I'll share it with you. The belief about the event was that I'm a failure. I'm a terrible dad. I was doing everything to be a great dad. And now I wrecked my children's lives. Now I see all the stats of divorce and all of those things mounting up against me. And I say, I did that to them. I blew it. I was a failure. I was dumb. I was stupid. Name it all. That was just loads upon loads, just unloading on myself, just literally just trying to destroy myself. And I took a step back and I say, man, would I ever say that to another human being? No, I would never say that. Neither would you. You would never be that mean to somebody. But man, dads, how toxic are we on ourselves in these things? It's the belief about the event, which means that the belief about the event can change. You can go from, man, these are the stats for divorce, I'm screwed, to these are the stats against divorce, I'm going to beat the stats. I'm not going to become that. I'm going to become something better and different. I'm going to be the greatest human being on planet Earth. Post-traumatic growth occurs in 70% of people who experience major life crises, which also means that pain processed well becomes purpose. That's why you're here. Pain processed well becomes purpose. 70% of people that experience major life crisis have post-traumatic growth that they have the option to have. That's huge. Demolition, here's the idea, here's the picture. Demolition comes before design. If you look at it, many of these, I love sometimes these old buildings in Vegas that they totally demolish. You're like, wow, that was once a major attraction. That was once somebody's dream. That was once a place where, man, people just thought was the coolest thing ever. And now it's they have to totally destroy it. And then they rebuild it again. That's what divorce feels like. There was a moment when you were at your peak, you were crushing it, you were doing your thing. Same for me. I was traveling the world. It was awesome. I was running and gunning and doing my thing. And then without consistent change and transformation, without accountability in my life, without systems and strategy, without focus, that building becomes naturally deteriorates. What you fail to improve upon over time gets worse. It's the law of atrophy. It doesn't naturally get better. You have to intentionally make it better. And over times in our lives, that just doesn't happen. Many of you are feeling that. Many of you experience that. Same for me. And so that's what happens. That's what went on. And then that building has to collapse to make room for the new. And that's where you're at. That's what we're creating is the new. And if you've been in a blender for a while, it's because you haven't created the vision and the mission and the plan every single day, every single hour, every moment has to be intentional. And if it's not, then you go back to what you built before, and you don't want that. Fast System says it like this. The focus is name what actually blew up, your plan or your piece. What did you actually blow up? What in the divorce piece, what did you blow up? What happened there? Where was faith in all of that? What happened there? I had a conversation with a guy, a prospect, and he was wanting to do this and this and this, and he was trying to figure out the future. And I said, well, how important faith is to you? And he said, man, I used to be this, and this, and reading my Bible and doing all this. And man, I had such great peace. I had such great faith. It was just the best I ever was. And I said, well, then the question you have to ask yourself is, do you want to do that again? Or do you want to keep trying what you're doing now and getting terrible, awful results? And that's the question. Where's your faith in all of this? Why is it in the back seat instead of the front seat? Why is it the last thing that you do instead of the first thing you do? What's the awareness of where you're at, of rebuilding after the collapse? Acknowledge the loss without dramatizing it. And where's the accountability in it for yourself? Think about all of the things that you lacked accountability in. You know, in our finances, we have to have accountability or you don't have any money. In our life, in our mind, imagine having accountability to the thoughts that you have. Would you think that? Do you want your son to think that? Do you want your daughter to think that? The thoughts that you're seeing? What about accountability over your eyes? Do you want your kids looking at what you're looking at? Maybe you got a porn problem. Maybe you got a whatever kind of problem. Do you want your kids taking that problem on? What's in your ears, right? What's around you? Do you want to transfer those things to your children? And if you don't, then you got to do something about it. You got to get accountable. The strategy is replace why me with what now. What happens next? What are we going to do here? Why does this matter? What now? Instead of why me, life is happening for you, not to you. Remember that. Lastly is transformation. Reframe collapse as construction. Welcome aboard. We're about to rebuild the greatest dad of all time, the greatest man that you'll ever become or create. Every single day, every single thought, every single action, every single habit, drill down into the man that you're becoming. Here's the challenge and the reflection. A little bit long on this one, but here you go. The challenge is this. Take 15 minutes and write your rebuild story in 3 lines. And the 3 lines look like this. What ended, number 1. What did it expose, number 2. And what's it building in you? This is the rebuild story in 3 lines. Rewind this. It'll be in the notes. We'll move forward. 3 questions. Here you go. What part of your old life needs to collapse? Where is God asking you to rebuild stronger? What did you listen or hear in this time, me and you hanging out? What did you hear that resonated with you the most today? What stuck out? What nudged you? Where do you need to dig deeper in? What is it? Get serious. Get curious. Get intentional. Get uncomfortable. These are all the things that will rebuild greatness faster than you've ever rebuilt anything else in your entire life. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. Again, jump in the Ascent group, Divorced Dads of America on Instagram. If you're not following us, drop me a comment, throw me a message. Love to hear from you guys. What do you want to hear next? What's cooking? Where's the next? What are you building? What are you growing? Where are your children at? What do you want? I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one. God bless you.